The moment we opened that game, we had no idea how terrifying it would get. You know when something feels off right from the start. That's exactly how it was. The screen didn't even load like a normal game. It glitched, stuttered, like it was trying to resist being opened. At first I laughed. I said, great, we downloaded some broken bootleg horror game. But inside I felt something weird, like a pit in my stomach. The title screen wasn't flashy or animated. It was just static. Actual static, like an old TV that lost its signal, with a distorted melody playing in the background. It sounded almost like a lullaby, but corrupted, dragged out and warped, like someone humming through a broken speaker. We hovered over Start Game, hesitating. I swear the longer I looked, the more the static seemed to crawl across the screen. My friend nudged me like, come on, it's just a game. What's the worst that could happen? Famous last words, right? We hit start. The screen went black, dead silent. For a few seconds, nothing happened. I actually thought it crashed my computer. Then flicker. The image returned. We were standing in this long, dimly lit hallway. The walls were bare, but the light was wrong. It flickered like an old fluorescent bulb, buzzing faintly. I swear, I felt it buzzing in my ears in real life. I tried to play it cool, but my heart was already racing. The air in the room felt heavy, like even breathing was harder. And it wasn't just me. My friend leaned back in the chair and muttered, "Dude, I don't like this." That was all I needed to hear. We moved the character forward. The echo of footsteps filled the corridor, stretching way too long, like the hallway was alive. Nothing jumped out, no monster, no cheap scare, just tension, pure, unbearable tension, and then, on the wall ahead, we saw it. 3 glowing numbers, faint but unmistakable, 888. I squinted, half smiling, trying to convince myself it was just random. But no, these numbers felt deliberate. They pulsed, almost breathing. The second I saw them, I felt my stomach drop. I don't know why. They're just numbers, right? But in that moment, I swear the game noticed us, like it was waiting for us to see them. I glanced at my friend. He looked pale. Bro, he whispered, did that just move? And I froze, staring at the wall. Because, for the briefest moment, I swear the numbers shimmered. They weren't just painted on the wall. They were alive, and that's when everything started to change. We moved closer to the numbers on the wall, trying to convince ourselves it was just part of the design, some creepy little Easter egg. But the closer we got, the more the screen began to distort. The pixels didn't stay still, they warped, like the wall itself was breathing. My friend laughed nervously, trying to cut the tension. Man, it's just bad programming. Chill. But I could tell from his voice he didn't believe it either. We turned the corner, and suddenly the game forced us into another room. No transition, no loading screen, just snap, we were somewhere else. The room was empty, completely bare except for a single grandfather clock in the corner. The sound hit us instantly. Tick, 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 every beat echoed louder than it should have, like it was inside our skulls. We stood there in silence, just staring at this clock, and then it happened. The hands spun wildly, blurring into a circle, and then stopped dead at 808. I froze. 808. That couldn't be random. The number 8 again. My friend shifted in his chair and whispered, "That's not right." And just when I was about to brush it off, the game stuttered. For a single frame, maybe even less, a face flashed on screen. Not a pixelated character face, not something that belonged in the game. No. A real face, human, staring straight at us. I felt the blood drain from my body. "Did you see that?" I shouted. My friend nodded immediately. We both saw it, which made it worse. If it had just been me, I could have blamed it on imagination. But no, we both saw it at the exact same time, and then the audio cut. No ticking, no buzzing, just silence. I leaned closer to the monitor, waiting. And then out of nowhere, a whisper crawled through the speakers. Not text, not subtitles, not some audio file you'd expect in a horror game, a real voice, low, distorted, almost buried under static. It said 2 words, "He's here." I ripped my headphones off. My friend just stared at me, his face pale, eyes wide. "Tell me you heard that too," I whispered. He nodded again, but he wouldn't look at the screen. He was staring at the reflection on the dark part of the monitor, like he was afraid something was behind us. I didn't want to keep playing, but of course we did. We had to know what came next. And that's when the first door opened on its own. The sound of that door creaking open on its own made every hair on my arms stand straight up. I swear it wasn't just audio. It felt like the noise came from inside the room we were sitting in, not from the game. My friend leaned forward, squinting at the screen, whispering, "Did we press something?" But I hadn't touched the controller. The game just moved on by itself. The hallway beyond was darker than anything we'd seen so far. The kind of dark where your flashlight doesn't help. It just makes you realize how little you can actually see. So we stepped inside. The beam of light flickered against peeling wallpaper, long cracks stretching like veins across the walls. Dust floated through the air in thick, heavy clouds, and then, at the very end of the hallway, we saw it. A figure perfectly still, just standing there. I froze. I actually set the controller down for a second because my chest felt tight. It wasn't moving, it wasn't breathing, it was just watching, a human-like shape but wrong, too long. Too tall, its head tilted slightly, like it was listening. My friend muttered under his breath, "Nope, nope, nope." But we couldn't stop. We pushed forward, every step echoing down the corridor, and that's when it happened. The figure twitched. Not moved, twitched, like it glitched between frames of animation, jerking unnaturally closer every time the flashlight flickered. My palms were slick with sweat, the controller slipping. I whispered, "Don't look back. Just don't look back." But then footsteps. Behind us, slow, heavy, dragging footsteps. My blood ran cold. I spun the camera around so fast the screen blurred, but nothing was there. Just the endless hallway behind us, empty and silent. I turned back forward and the figure was gone. I swear my heart stopped. It had been standing there just seconds ago, right in front of us, and now nothing. My friend hissed, "Don't move, don't," and then we both saw it. On the wall where the figure had been standing, 3 glowing numbers were burned into the plaster. Not written, not painted, burned, 888. They pulsed faintly, almost alive, the light crawling across the floor toward our feet. And as the glow reached us, the game whispered again, only this time louder, clearer, "You shouldn't be here." We froze when that whisper hit. I didn't even realize I was holding my breath until my chest started burning. The glow from those numbers kept pulsing, spreading further across the floor, almost like it was alive, like it wanted to swallow us whole. My friend reached for the controller, muttering, "Nope, we're done. I'm closing this." But the second he tried, the screen stuttered and shook violently, like the game was fighting back. Instead of pausing, giant red text smeared across the monitor, "You can't leave." I felt my stomach twist. My hands were trembling so bad I didn't want to touch the keyboard, but the game didn't care. We were already inside it. The hallway ahead started bending, walls stretching too far, door frames warping like they were melting. It felt like we were walking inside a nightmare that didn't follow normal rules. Then everything went pitch black. No hallway, no walls, just void. The only thing left was our flashlight beam cutting through the darkness. And that's when I saw it, a shape far in the distance. It wasn't moving, at least not yet. The more we stared, the clearer it became. A tall silhouette, crooked, thin arms dangling too far down, head tilted in that unnatural angle again. My chest tightened so bad I thought I was going to stop breathing. I whispered, "Don't go closer. Please don't go closer." But my friend, Of course, he pressed forward. The shape didn't run at us. That would have been easier. Instead, every time our light flickered, it twitched forward, glitching closer, frame by frame. First, it was at the end of the hallway. Flicker, now it was halfway. Flicker, now it was right there, inches away. I swear I could almost feel it breathing on us through the screen, and then behind us, footsteps, heavy. Slow, deliberate, I shouted, spinning the camera around, and my whole body went cold. There was nothing there. Just black emptiness. But the footsteps kept coming, getting louder, closer, like someone was right behind my chair in real life. My friend pushed the headphones off. Why? Died, whispering, "Dude, that's not the game anymore. That's in here." I wanted to quit so bad. I wanted to pull the plug on the whole system. But then the flashlight flickered one more time and the walls reappeared. Except now they were covered in it. Every surface, every door, every crack in the plaster. 3 numbers. 888. When those numbers spread across every wall, I swear I could feel the heat radiating from the screen. My hands were sweating so much the controller almost slipped out of my grip. My friend leaned back, whispering, "I don't like this, man. It feels wrong." And for once, I didn't try to joke back. Because he was right. This didn't feel like a horror game anymore. It felt personal. We stepped forward into what looked like another chamber. The floors creaked under every step, dust floating through the beam of our flashlight. The walls were marked with scratches, like claws had been dragged across them again and again. And in the center of the room, burning faintly on the floor, was the number again, 888. I whispered the numbers out loud without thinking, almost like they were forcing their way out of my mouth. 888. The instant I said it, the game reacted. The lights burst in the hallway behind us, glass shattering so loud it made me flinch in real life. The speakers exploded with static, and hidden under that static were voices. Whispers layered over whispers, some in English, some in languages I couldn't even recognize. I pressed my hands over my ears, but it didn't help. It was like the voices were inside my head. Then something new happened. The microphone lit up. The game was listening. I said nothing. I held my breath. My friend mouthed, "Don't speak." But he couldn't help it. He muttered, barely above a whisper, "This feels too real." And that's when it answered, his voice. My friend's exact voice, echoing back at us from the speakers, but distorted, wrong, like it had been recorded and twisted. "This feels too real," it said, mocking him. My friend went pale, eyes wide, hands trembling. That's not funny," he stammered. The more we played, the more it fed off us. Every time we laughed nervously, the game laughed back in a broken, inhuman distortion. Every time we whispered, our voices echoed seconds later. It was copying us, listening, and twisting everything we said. We pushed forward anyway, because at this point we needed to know how deep it went. The chamber ahead stretched into a massive space. Strange symbols burned along the floor, glowing like embers. At the center, larger than ever before, was the number carved into the stone, 888. Then the screen began to shake, words clawing their way across the monitor in jagged red text. "You are part of the tale now." I slammed the pause button, but it didn't work. I even tried pulling up the system menu, but nothing. It had taken over everything. My friend looked at me, his voice cracking. "We can't stop it. We're inside." And then the screen pulled us deeper. The moment those words carved themselves across the screen, "You are part of the tale now," I felt something sink in my chest. It didn't feel like a message in a game. It felt like it was directed at us. My friend sat frozen, one hand gripping the edge of the desk, eyes locked on the screen like he couldn't look away. Then everything cut to black. No walls, no floor, no symbols, just blackness. I thought maybe it had crashed for real this time, and for a second I felt this rush of relief. Like maybe it was finally over, but then the laugh came. It didn't sound like a normal laugh. It was broken, layered, glitching in and out, like multiple voices were laughing at once, some deep, some high, pitched, some whispering so close it felt like they were breathing in my ear. My heart started racing so fast I thought it was going to tear right out of my chest. Then a voice cut through all of it. Not a character, not text on the screen, a voice, slow, distorted, dripping with static. America will remember 888. The words dragged on like they didn't want to end, and the sound was so warped it rattled my headphones. I yanked them off, and the worst part, I could still hear it. The screen flickered once, twice, and then for a split second, I swear I saw us. Not the character in the game, us. Our own reflections, caught in the monitor like the game had turned on the webcam without asking. My face was pale, died, frozen in terror, then it was gone, just silence, no credits, no restart. Nothing, we sat there, staring at the black screen, not moving. My friend whispered, almost too quiet to hear, did that just happen? And I couldn't even answer him. My throat felt locked. My skin was crawling like static was running under it. Finally, I shut the system down, slammed it off, and we just sat there in the dark room, trying to process what we had just seen. I'll be honest, part of me still doesn't believe it, but the other part, the part that can't stop thinking about that voice, knows this wasn't just some random horror game. Here's the question, though. Now that you've heard the story, are you part of the tale too? Do you pretend you never heard about 888? Or do you let the curiosity win and risk it finding you the way it found us? Safe to say, we're never opening that game at night again. But if you think this was terrifying, you should probably stick around, because the next cursed game we found, 888 was just the beginning.